Hey there, everyone. My name is Charlie Kemp, and I am currently a senior saxophone performance major at the University of Michigan. Going to be graduating this year, and I went to Daycroft from '95 to about 2002. And in this time, I wanted to there's like a time in our lives when we reflect on the successes, the failures, and the events that kind of define who we are. There's a process that we go through, and at this point in time, I've just been thinking about this for the past week. There was a skill set that I attained in this time at Daycroft that's basically provided a foundation for what I do and how I go about my life these days, especially in the arts. And for me personally, I developed some major skills that in this period of time can be related back to multiple wonderful experiences, just as Marissa mentioned. And personally for me, I remember this one anecdote in my life, this story, right after I graduated from Daycroft. I actually ended up going to, on your card it says I went to Green Hills. I actually ended up going to Dexter. My parents moved out to Dexter. And we moved into the house. I ended up starting school there in 7th grade. And I remember waking up that first day, going to a nice little quaint little cafe known as Clockworks. It's probably changed by then. But I was in there and I was nervous as could be to start my first day in 7th grade. But when I got there, I went into school, and by the time I got out, my mom picked me up. There was this thing. There was something I had that a lot of the other kids lacked, in my opinion, that they didn't have, and a lot of it can be related back to Daycroft. So going back to Daycroft now, I remember I started out in kindergarten, and kindergarten was a pretty funny time. I remember that there was this kid in class. His name was Jason, and he actually never finished his lunch a lot of times. So we always, like, as a whole student body, we were always like cheering him on. Come on, you can finish your last half of your sandwich. Finally, the last day of school, I think, he actually ended up eating the last half of the sandwich, and our lunch teacher at that time gave a nice, she danced around and went crazy. So that type of memory makes me remember that Daycroft became more of it was a community. It was a family. And in kindergarten in particular, I remember actually just talking to someone else. I'm blanking out now. We were able to write letters at an early age, and apparently, I don't remember this, but we actually were writing love letters to one of the girls in class that we actually had fallen for at 5 years of age. So, kind of goofy, I know, but. And getting into 1st and 2nd grade, some of the most crucial years for me, there was, this was the time when I developed this really intense understanding of both structured lessons from the teachers, Mrs. Seeger and Mrs. Leach, but also a level and awareness of independent learning or maieutic learning, where I was being approached with questions, but I was answering them myself. And that came in the form of a work plan that I structured myself every week on a consistent basis. This developed this independent understanding that I need to take the time to structure my life out, my work, and make the choices to commit my time to certain pieces of work that I feel strongly about. And in that, I kind of developed this awareness that I need to put the time in and make the sacrifice and time with the things I'm committed to. That carried into my 3rd and 4th grade years with Mrs. Seeger and Mrs. Wall, who's not here anymore. But in that time, I remember, goofing around with my good friends who had developed good relationships in about 4 or 5 years by that time. Jared Jones and Jack Pollard were great friends at that point, and we loved, learning about all the wonderful reading assignments that we were doing and going on the wonderful excursions, these field trips. And it was an important time as well. Getting into 5th and 6th grade, probably one of the most impactful parts of 5th and 6th grade was this community garden we had outside some time ago. I don't know if they still have it, but that was a colossal and most important part of this time, because I realized that not only are we nurturing our education, but we're nurturing an environment that needs the love and support from this entire world. And that kind of gave me that insight in addition to my vegan lifestyle. Ending in 6th grade, I graduated in a class of 3, so a nice good size, Yeah, me, Rick Steffens, and Whitney Van Heis, and I still stay in contact with them through the good old social media, Facebook. So in that time, I kind of sat there looking back at Daycroft and what I had done here, and I realized that this wasn't just an academic experience. I had developed a philosophy for skills that have basically transcended the time here in Daycroft and have taken me to new levels. This includes now I'm studying saxophone performance at the University of Michigan, and not only one of the most prestigious universities, but one of the most prestigious saxophone studios in the nation, with a professor that has basically founded the classical performance pedagogy of saxophone. So a lot of that has to do with my understanding that the passion, the drive, the work ethic that I developed here in Daycroft carried over not only into my middle school years, where I was a straight 4.0 student, and high school, as well as I became student of the year for the 2 years during middle school, but it's turned into my philosophy and my foundation to how I approach the things I do. And if it's one thing that I look back on, it's that these 7 years end up turning into that philosophy that I mentioned. And I wanted to end on a quote. I have this fun little poster in my room. The Dalai Lama, there's some rules on how to approach life. And one of them mentions that a loving atmosphere in your home is the foundation for your life. Daycroft wasn't just a school, it was a home. It was a place that I felt comfortable in. And in addition to having supportive parents, just as I know all you parents are as well, I had a supportive educational environment that also turned into a family. And for that, I'm greatly appreciable and thankful for what it is that they offered here. And I hope that your kids, maybe 10 years, 12 years down the road, they come back and speak of this and have the same great things to say about the family and the community spirit that is so present here. Thank you, guys.